Hello, this is Michael Willems with a couple of quick Lightroom tips. Today, customization and shortcuts. A few more things that make your life in Adobe Lightroom much easier. Let's start Lightroom, and I'm looking here at 5 pictures I took last night in a class of a student. And when I look at these pictures, first of all, when I'm in the library view or the develop view, if I press the I for info button, I get additional information about the picture. So pressing I once tells me, in this case, the file name, the date and time, and the size of the image. And pressing it twice, I still get the file name, but now I also get the exposure details and the lens setting. If I press I a third time, it disappears. So this is a toggle that I use a lot because when I'm editing, when I'm finishing a picture, I don't want to see this stuff over the picture, but I generally do want to take a look at what I was using, what my exposure details were, and so on. That's all very well, but if I want to see different things, well, then what I can do is do Command J, and Command J shows me of the two information sets what they display. So information 1 has the file name and copy name, has capture date and time, and crop dimensions. Well, if instead of the file name I want to have, for instance, just a file extension, now it just says CR2. Or if I want the common attributes, that means, for instance, whether it's flagged, ranked, rated, or labeled. Or copyright information or rights reserved. Anything I want, I can put there. So typically, I'll leave this to file name, and typically I'll leave the default options, but not always. Sometimes I want to change some of them. Same in the info 2. If I already know the file name, why not do something else? For example, the focal length or the f-stop or the exposure program I was using. I was in manual mode. That's kind of cool because by now I know the file name, and I can, if I click this away again, press I to make it go away, I to see file name and details, and then another I to see what mode I was in. Kind of boring because it's usually manual. Alright, so that's one customization. Now let's talk about a few quick shortcuts that you may not be aware of. If I'm in the develop module and I want to know whether I've overexposed any particular part of the picture, for instance, I can click on these things or hold my mouse over there, but I can also just type the letter J, and J turns on the clipping warning. There you go, blue, and if it's overexposed, red. Here, let me overexpose it to show you that. See, now there's bits that are all blown out. So J turns that on and off. Another time saver. Another thing you can do is press the Y button to toggle the compare function. You know you have the compare before and after to the left below your image. If I just use the letter Y, I see before and after. And remember, I takes away the information. So Y is a very quick way of seeing what you've done. A lot easier than going over here with your mouse and then back over there and then back over here. Y just toggles them. Now, another thing I use quite often, and by the way, let me go back to the previous version of this picture. If I now press Y, you see there's no changes. Another thing I do quite often is I use overlay guides. I can turn them on if I wish by using the View menu, and then I can go to Loop Overlay and I can say Show Guides. If I say Show, now I see guides. They can be quite useful. For example, when I have 5 portraits, 5 lighting setups to show, I can see very easily whether the eyes are all at the same level. If I want to move these guides, very simple. I press the Command button, and now as you can see, I see a little symbol. I hold down the Command button, and as I'm holding it down, I can move things. So I can say, well, I want to see, put this right on the tip of Daryl's nose, and now you can see they're not all in the same place. If I want to turn this on and off, as I showed you, I can do it via the View menu, but I can also just do Command Option or Option Command O. So the overlay guides, Option Command O, and that toggles them on and off. One more for you today, the zoom. I zoom by disabling whatever tool I'm in. So for instance, if I'm in this tool, I can't zoom. I first do done, and then I can click to zoom in and click to zoom out. I can also, even if I'm using a tool, use this little menu here and do this. True, whoops, true, but of course it's easier to just type the letter Z for zoom, so Z zooms in and out. So those are a few useful shortcuts. There is much more you can choose. There are many more things you can do. If, for instance, I'm in the grid view and I type Command J to see the view options, now I have different view options. So now I can say, well, in these expanded cells, normally I see all this information. I see, for example, the file number, the file name, the size, and the extension. As you can see on the bottom right, that's what it says here. But I actually like to not see the extension there, but I like to see the exposure details. So I just set this thing to exposure details, exposure, and now I see on my pictures in the grid view instantly the shutter speed and aperture that I was using. That's a lot more useful to me than seeing the file extension because it's always raw. So why display it? So again, to see those options and to set your own preference for those options, it's Command J. Or of course, via the menu, you can say View Options, and it's here you go, View Options. But I always recommend learn the shortcuts because Lightroom is a productivity tool and it makes you a lot faster than you ever were. In part by using these productivity tools, by using these shortcuts. Couple of words on these images. They were lighting setup images. This is an image with only one light through an umbrella. That's a key light, and the face is too dark. Now we have one with a second light added, the fill light. Could be a reflector, but in this case it's another umbrella. And as you see, it's a little bit dark still. So now we turn up the fill light a little bit. That's probably more like it. And now we add a shampooy goodness light, a hair light. And that makes the person look a lot more alive. And then finally, why not? Let's complement the blue sweater with a matching color, a color that complements the blue, and that will be this kind of yellow. And now we have a simple portrait. Looks good, 4 colors. One thing to note is that when you look carefully, is that when it sharpens, you'll see that the catch light is a little circle. The main catch light anyway is a little circle. The other one is hardly noticeable. That little circle is from the umbrella. That's why I shoot through an umbrella, because otherwise you'd see a circle with a black blob in it. A nice circle like this is good. Final note, as you can see, these are the studio settings. I'm in manual mode. I'm shooting at 125th of a second at f8 at 200 ISO. Those are typical studio settings. And with those settings, you'll get wonderfully crisp, sharp images because the only light is provided by the flashes. And the flashes flash very quickly. Alright, that was it for me today. Thank you very much for watching. Come back soon. There'll be regular new videos here, and don't forget, check out www.Speedlighter.ca for daily tips, tricks, techniques, and technologies explained. Thank you. This is Michael Willems. Bye-bye.